I was going to say I got something else too, a little bit of negative, even though we were just talking about this as well too. Shout out to Eric Woodward once again. GM Brad Holmes said he hasn't had any discussions with Za'Darius Smith since the NFL annual league meeting where he gave his last update. So
that was 2 weeks ago. There's no reason to...
No talks since then.
It's a couple weeks. It's still... It's draft time, y'all. Like,
how you feel about that, KG? Explain it, man.
It's draft time. It makes sense. He's a busy man right now. Probably the busiest he is all year long. It is draft season. It's not the biggest deal if they ain't talked, at least to me. So I think, and I told y'all this, did I not say that this could not happen before the draft? This could maybe even go past June 1st when, you know, some of other players' contracts come off the books and things get shook up a little bit. I'm just saying, like, give it time. This might not happen right away.
And to be real, isn't that what generally and sometimes happens with players like that? If they talked a couple weeks ago, my notion is the numbers are already out there, what the Lions are willing to do, what Brad Holmes is willing to do.
Exactly.
And they already know. So it's like, when you're ready, come on back home. And if he knows he got that going, then maybe Brad Holmes can step to the podium, especially while he's trying to keep a lot of things coy and say, oh, no, I haven't talked to him. You know, who knows what GMs are trying to read into and play into, because if they are candidates to trade up, which we've seen them be in the past, you don't want a team to be able to go and potentially run up the value, or potentially another team being able to go up and grab that same player that you might have your eyes set on. So I like the fact that this one in particular, they usually call their shot straight and they knock it out the park. But in particular for this draft, man, he's been true to his word, but it's just been scattered. You can't really plot anything that Brad Holmes is going to do in this thing.
And Kool-Aid, that's a great point. Just to add to that, what if him signing Za'Darius Smith is dependent on what happens in the draft? It could be a very good possibility that he's weighing that option too. If he can move up and get the guy that he wants, maybe you don't need a Za'Darius Smith at that point. Yes, I would like to have him back, but at that point you would have your rookie on a rookie deal, and you got Marcus Davenport. You know, you got some of those other guys, Al-Qaeda and Muhammad. I know these aren't fan favorites of some on the desk, but you do have a serviceable amount of edges at that point. Maybe they want to roll into the season like that, but it all depends. Like you said, we don't know.
Goodness gracious. But you know what? Talking about this draft, Flannel Sam, what up, though?
Hey, so I've got ways that I want to help this team as well.
All right.
But this is so my rule for Flannel Sam's mock draft 2.0 is that I didn't allow myself to pick any of the same players as I did last time. I think that's a good exercise to do because there are, I think, multiple options that Brad Holmes has at his disposal to make a good draft. And if JB, you want to go ahead and throw that up right now, I will just do a brief synopsis on every single one of those players. At pick 28, I have the Titans selecting Tennessee interior defensive lineman Omar Norman Lott.
Okay.
What intrigues me about him is his pass rushing upside. His last season in college had a absurd 19% pass rush win rate from the interior. He's not super big. He's not stout he's not as stout as you'd like against the run. He's only 6'3", 280, by the way. But I also think he would provide the highest pass rushing upside of anybody in the Lions defensive tackle room. They've already got more space eater types like Roy Lopez and DJ Reader, and Aleem, even though he's better than just being a space eater, is a massive human as well. Somebody that's quick and agile and I think has some positional versatility like Omar Norman Lott could be a nice complement on this defensive line. At pick number 60, and I was actually inspired to do this from Chase's old draft in which he picked Jared Ivey, Ole Miss defensive end, at pick 60. And quite simply, to me, it's value. He's got the size archetype that the Lions like. He's about 6'6", 285. And in college in his last season, had a higher pass rush win rate than Shamar Stewart, had the same pass rush win rate as Nick Scorton, and he was a higher graded run defender than Nick Scorton. And he had more sacks last season than both of them. I know it's not perfect. I know that there's a lot of context to it, but considering that Scorton and Stewart will be in the first round and you could probably get Ivy in the second, that's value to me, and he's got similar size to both of them. At pick 102, the pick that I'm most proud of, cannot believe he was still there, Tate Ratledge at 102. If the Lions pick Tate Ratledge, he's starting next year instead of Graham Glasgow. I believe he's got that athletic upside. He was an All-American last year, and he's just going to be one of those star guards in the future that you get in later rounds, and those types are littered all around the NFL, by the way. At 130, I've got Kyle Williams from Washington State. And, oh, by the way, Kyle Williams, according to the PFF Big Board, was projected to be a high third-round pick. So this is, by definition, a steal. And the reason why I like Kyle Williams is he's J-Mo-like. And I know before people say, does this mean you want to trade J-Mo? No. It's just that
I'm trying to get rid of. No, you heard it here first.
But just with the way that he plays, he's about 6 foot, 185, has 4.4 speed, can really take the top off of a defense, lines up outside more in the slot, but can also play effectively in the slot. Has a very high contested catch rate, by the way, 63% last year. Just a very versatile, potentially deadly weapon of the future for the Detroit Lions. And then for a couple of years, you'd have him in the same receiver room as J-Mo, which is what I advocate, by the way. Nobody's saying trade J-Mo. At pick 196, I've got Craig Woodson, safety from Cal. And the reason why I got him is because I think you could use another safety in the room. And what I like about...
because his last name's not Woodson.
that plays a no, it doesn't. But last season, 75% passer rating allowed when targeted, a 21% forced incompletion rate, which is very high, 9 passes defended, which is great. And he is also one of the only safeties in his draft class that is graded as an 85 or higher on pass defense and run defense. And I get it. That's a lot of stats that I'm throwing at you, but we're talking about a 6th-round pick at 196. That's what really draws me to him, is that he was just damn good at Cal, and I think that he could potentially be an NFL-level player, even if it's as a backup. At pick number 228, I've got Jalen Travis, tackle from Iowa State, and the reason why I picked him, obviously, I'm not expecting too much. If he busts, he busts. There's no such thing as being a bust as a 7th-round pick, but he was a very high-graded pass blocker. He only allowed 1 sack last year and over 450 pass-blocking snaps. I like that. And at pick number 244, Jared Harrison Hunt from SMU. I know that would give us a lot of interior defensive linemen, but at pick 244, he's another one. Just has very high pass rushing upside, especially for being that low of a draft pick. Yeah. Needs some refinement, obviously, in other facets, but we're talking about pick number 244. So that's my draft.
Now, Sam,
yes.
I love this draft. The 1st-round pick we're going to talk about, but
sure.
Especially rounds 2 through 4, you killed that, bro. That's real good. Why did you opt to go defensive interior for the 1st-round pick? Because you can argue that at this point they can be deep at that position, especially once Aleem comes back. You can argue they're deep at that position. Do you want your 1st-round pick to go to interior?
It's because of what was available, if I'm being quite frank.
Okay. So you would have went edge first.
James Pierce was available, and I would, but I gave myself that arbitrary rule that I wasn't allowed to double up because if it was, every single mock draft that I ever make is going to be James Pierce.
No, seriously. You got to try to be different. I understand.
You got to try to be different. And the only one that was available at that point was Nick Scorton. And I think it was the question of, do I want an interior like Omar Norman Lott, who I think is a better interior prospect than Scorton is an edge? It was very, very close, but I chose Omar Norman Lott because of his just freakish pass rushing upside. But he does have some things to work on as like a run defender.
Yeah. And I see Hoofhearted in the chat, my favorite chat name. He says Sam has a point that there are still going to be great edge players available in the 2nd and even the 3rd rounds this draft. We don't have to panic if Brad doesn't go edge in round 1.
Yeah, and like I said, because this is 2.0, I would still probably take an edge, and I did in my mock draft 1.0, but pressure from the interior is huge. Yeah. Sacks from the interior is huge, and we've got Aleem, but I think Omar Norman Lott, he's a guy that it wouldn't shock me if he has a double-digit sack season at least once in his career.
Man. Hey, boys, the reason. What up, though? Hey, because there's a lot of A's on this on Flannel's Big Mock version 2.0. And chat family, put your grades in the chat as well. I see Flannel Sam's burner account gave it a B-. In the chat, that's what it says.
I'm very humble, so I can't give myself A's, you know.
But Dante151 gave it an A-. Chat fam, I don't know what you guys feel, but JB Smooth, man, it's a lot of basically additions in the trenches for these Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I agree. When I did my second edition of a mock draft, actually Kyle Williams was on the list of some people that I was looking at as well too in those later rounds. I did somehow get to see Norman Lott in the third, so I don't know if there was like any other players that were better available at that first pick, but he was available to me in the third. But other than that, I mean, I like it. It's a solid B.
Man, I guess I didn't get good value then. If he's available in the third, but
Brad don't give a damn about
Brad
your
don't
positional
care.
value.
Yeah.
Brad do what the fuck he want to do. So
BPA.
Like, man,
He done told y'all.
In the third, he would have been there in the lower. It's just like
He don't
Brad's,
care.
I don't care.
He don't care.
I got a team to run. And you know what, Eric Allen, A-. Great draft.
thank you. I
think this is A-.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And for the record, we did get a couple of submissions in the of our chat members in their mock draft.